Welcome to Issues of Contemporary Politics with Dr. Brovkin. Today, my dear friends and subscribers and guests to my channel, I'd like to focus on Iran. And more specifically, the question that I like to answer is, what are the chances of Iran survival or responding to a possible attack from the United States and Israel? As we all know, today, the 11th of February, Mr. Netanyahu has arrived to Washington in order to ask Trump to harden U.S. position in the ongoing negotiations over Iranian nuclear nuclear program in Oman. Very briefly, the situation is as follows. The nuclear negotiations, as you all know, have been going on for years and years. But the United States position has been to demand that Iran does not have any enrichment of uranium at all. Iran has been arguing back that this is for civilian use of the nuclear power stations, and it has a right by international law to do the enrichment. But now the new thing is that because of the short 12-day war in June 2025, the Israelis' position, and this is why Netanyahu is coming to Washington, is that for the Israelis, number one issue is not so much the Israelis' nuclear weapon, which still is a major fear, but the ballistic missiles. Because as the keen observers have made the point, in June 2025, the Iranian ballistic missiles have posed a serious threat to Israel, and they have penetrated the Iron Dome, and that is why Netanyahu is coming to Washington to plead with Trump to toughen the position of the United States in regard to ballistic missiles, and also to perhaps some speculation in the media, perhaps also to discuss the possibilities of a strike against Iran if the negotiations go sour. Now, what we also have heard from the media is that Trump has been escalating, and I quote, he promised something, quote, very tough, or, quote, far worse than attacks in 2025. So analyzing Trump's posturing and behavior, American analysts and websites and institutes for strategy and geopolitics are split, with a slight majority of those who advise him to be cautious and not to escalate. And yet there is a sizable minority, but about 40% of those, if that could be measured, of those advisors and hawks who basically argued that the United States should strike Iran and finish the job, which they have not, in June 2025. Now, what is going to happen, obviously nobody knows, but this is the position as of today. Now, what's interesting to mention in this regard too is that when I did open data on the public opinion in Israel, it's actually quite similar to that in the United States. In the United States, actually, not the public opinion. I think the majority of Americans don't want any involvement in any overseas wars. But I'm talking about the public opinion in Israel is split, with 48% for immediate involvement and striking Iran as a major enemy of Israel, and 46% would like to respond if Israel is attacked first. So this means that the public opinion is split just about almost even between those who want to proceed and those who don't. Now, also, let me, before I move on to my next discussion segment, which is about Russia and China, I want to mention that the strategy of behavior of Mr. Trump is becoming to be familiar. When I look at the Russian and the Chinese analysts' reaction to Trump's action, it doesn't come across as too scary anymore, because Trump is perceived and is known for his strategy of making a whole lot of threats and involving all kinds of weapons and threats of obliterating this and that, and then at the last moment he sort of steps back and from the threshold, and a deal is concluded. Now, what's different this time compared to 2025 is, the summer war of 2025. Things are different in significant ways. Number one, the Iranians are much, much more stubborn, or assertive, if you want to put it. They basically said it, we are not going to discuss ballistic missiles. That's it. Take it or leave it. That they're not up to discussion unless United States withdraws all of its forces and there are verifiable checks on the Israeli missiles and aircraft that can reach Iran. In other words, they are talking as equals. They're talking as a country that can challenge both the United States and Israel. Let me tell you, this is the first time in history that not a superpower like Russia used to be, the Soviet Union, but a country of relative size is bold enough to challenge the United States and say, no, we're not going to do what you're requiring of us, and we have our position and it is not going to change. That's it. Now, obviously, this also is the result of the obvious attempt of Israel to promote a regime change, a kind of a coup d'etat or a color revolution or rebellion, whatever you want to call it, that took place a couple of weeks ago, which many suspect is the work of Mossad, Israeli intelligence, that was supposed to be an attempt to overthrow the regime of Ayatollahs. And obviously another new fact is that Trump, after his successes in grabbing Venezuelan oil, is very much into controlling of oil flows, especially if he could get away with destroying Iranian government and taking over Iran as a country and appropriating its oil, as actually was the case in the coup d'etat of 1953, when Iranians tried to nationalize their oil. Then the government of Mossadegh was overthrown and the Shah of Iran installed, and this is the whole history of the Iranian Revolution, and today is their anniversary. Now I come to the most interesting part, and that is the Russian and Chinese and North Korean factor. I checked into the sources, and what I found is quite interesting. Obviously, there was a treaty signed between Russia and Iran, but it was not ratified. Now it is, and there is no provision that Russia comes to the aid of Iran in case it is attacked. But at the same time, these are the facts that we know now. There's very, very significant arms deliveries from Russia to Iran, and there are 48 Su-55 fifth-generation fighter jets that are delivered to Iran. Also, there are Mi-28 attack helicopters and the Spartak armored vehicles, personal vehicles that have been recently shipped. At the same time, there were S-300 air defense system was there, and S-400, which is the Russian best, it has already been deployed. That's what I found. Now, this is of course tremendously important because these missiles are the best on the market, and they could stop just about anything flying, including B-52 bombers and all kinds of missiles, Tomahawk missiles included. So this is very, very serious air defense system that the Russians have provided. Now, also the Russians have provided equipments on how to handle protests, including they were the ones who engineered the shutdown of internet, and then the Russian engineers and Russian specialists helped identify those protesters that were using internet and then to silence them and arrest them. So this is very, very significant help. Now, before I move to Chinese help, let me just explain why Iran is so crucially important for Russia. Not only because the Iranian drones are supplied to help Russians in the war in Ukraine, but also because it's a member of BRICS. It's another country that's under Western sanctions. It's a country that is strategically crucial for Russian south direction, and it's a rail link to the Indian Ocean, which is strategically of utmost importance for Russia, especially when it is confronted by NATO in the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea, and the access to the Gulf and to the Indian Ocean is military, strategic, and trade importance number one for Russia in its position today. So the Russians are full of energy and desire, without advertising it that much, without giving interviews and discussing it publicly. They have provided serious military assistance to China because it's in their to Iran because it's in their strategic interest. Now, the Chinese military assistance also is absolutely crucial. One of those is been the radar system, which has been able to provide Iran with a capacity to see the stealth bombers into the depth of 700 kilometers, which is crucial because anything flying at Iran, they will be warned and they would be able to trigger their defense systems and defense missiles. So also, China supplied solid rock fuel, 1,000 tons of sodium perchlorate in early 25, which is enough for 200 or 300 missiles. It also provided processors, guidance system, precision tech to rebuild the Iranian arsenal damaged in 2025. Now, it also provided cybersecurity and sharing surveillance technology to counter Mossad operations, and also it provided its own Chinese systems for satellite navigation, replacing US GPS. Now, and a few words about the North Korea, which also provided very, very important aid to Iran. Here it is. North Korea provides design, production, expertise, components, and assembly plants, assisting in production of ballistic missiles. That includes upgrades to the Iran's arsenal. Also, it actually ships or provides the short-range ballistic missiles of Korean production, and also know-how on building the missiles themselves, and also the uranium enrichment program for Iran, for uranium. So now, basically, when we put it all together, it amounts to a very significant game changer, I would say. Is that, again, for the first time in the history of the Western world, you have a Western power confronting what appears to be a medium or secondary regional power, not in the same league as the United States or Israel, but with the military and technical assistance of Russia, China, and North Korea. It seems to me that if it comes to a shootout, the Iranians have not only a good chance of surviving this onslaught, but delivering a humiliating blow to the United States and to its aircraft carriers and to its bases in the region. And most importantly, it could be a devastating blow to Israel. So that's where we are, my dear friends. I'd like to invite you to read my books, which you will see in a row, one after another, after this video. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, and also look at my other playlists, which are a lot of them on Russian history, Soviet history, Ukraine war as a separate playlist, and personal narratives and others. And I will see you very shortly. Goodbye.